Cheers. Happy Friday, everyone. Just a little sip before I start my live. Yet again, today I've had the great fortune of having a catch up with friends at 5 o'clock with a wine on Zoom, which is, you know what? I think if we all go back to doing everything out and about with people, I think I'm actually going to miss those little Zoom catch ups. So I hope many parts of everything we've gone through over the last few months actually stay, because I think some of those things are really cool. These conversations, I wouldn't have taken an hour out of my day 5 months ago to probably have the opportunity to have wine with these women. And yet we're doing it regularly. Friends I haven't caught up with for ages and ages. We see each other at funerals and weddings and really big birthdays, and we catch up every week. Like, it's brilliant. It's really brilliant. So I hope stuff like that stays. Anyway, that's not what this live is about. But why not? The clarity of wine. I wanted to talk about clarity within communication. So there's a great saying that clarity is power, and oh, look, there's a whole lot of sayings about something being power, but with clarity, it really is true. And all you've got to do is go back to your childhood and remember having conversations with your parents or your siblings about something that needed to get done or something that didn't get done or somewhere you were going, and it wasn't quite clear. And it always goes pear-shaped. If the clarity's not there, it's going to get a bit manky at some point, because someone won't have their needs or their wants met because that clarity wasn't communicated well. And we think people are mind readers. I think, especially parents, we can kind of say something to our children and it's like we get shocked that they didn't know exactly what we meant. Or with partners, you can say something and sometimes it's like you're speaking in a totally different language and you're all frustrated because, well, why didn't they know that the garbage had to get taken out? Because you didn't say, I need you to take the garbage out. You said, garbage is on Sunday. And we randomly think that they're going to understand exactly what we mean. Okay, I know they're simplified examples, but they're the kind of examples that affect us every single day when we're not clear and we don't have total clarity about what we're actually saying. Okay, we need to have it, because communication is like a dance. It's like you say something and then the other person listens and they respond and come out with something, and then it doesn't really work doing it this way, does it? And then you listen and then you think and a response comes out of you. So it's like this circle that just goes round and round and round and round and round. And that can be communication like this, chatting, chat. There can be text. Oh, don't get me started on clarity of text messages. That's a whole other problem. Email, letter writing, anything. There's so many ways we communicate. There's silent communication. That's a lesson in itself. But within that dance of communication, it's really important that the clarity is there. Otherwise, you're going to fall over or trip on each other's feet. Okay? So you need to be clear about a few things before you start communicating. And this is not just like having a chit chat. This is when there's something that really needs to actually get across. So you need to be clear on who you're communicating with, because you communicate differently with different people. So the first piece of clarity is being really clear on who you're communicating with, okay? You then need to be really clear on what you want or need to communicate. Because sometimes there's things we want to communicate, we don't really need to. It's just kind of like, So you need to be clear on what you want or need to communicate. And the third thing I think you need to be really clear on, which we don't often admit, is you need to be clear on, and you need to be honest about the fact that there is a response or an outcome that you actually want or need. So you don't say something to somebody. I should have come up with an example before doing this. Not sure what I want to do for my birthday. And you really in your gut want someone to go, how about I take you out to lunch? If you're not clear on that, you're not going to communicate it well, okay? That's back to that wishy-washy thing. So again, it's who you're communicating with, what you want or need to communicate, and the response that you want or need, okay? They're the things you've got to be really, 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 really clear on. Then there's a couple of things we've got to know. You've got to not assume anything, within the conversation. We've all heard the saying, don't assume it makes an ass out of you and me. We don't want to do that. So don't make assumptions, okay? And it's a really hard thing to stop doing. We all naturally make assumptions. We make assumptions based on something that's happened before with the person within that that we're communicating with. We make assumptions based on what we think they might do in reaction to usually how we're actually acting, not what we're saying. Parents, for example, do that great guilt thing where it's not about the words that are coming out. It's the guilt meaning in the language and the poise and the little undertones, between the lines. That's what we make an assumption with. That's a really, really big one. It's the what's underneath between the lines rather. Okay. So we've got those three. Who you're talking to. I'm going to go over it again. What you want or need to say and what you want or need as a response. Then there's a couple of tips that are going to help you take those three things and make what you're saying even better, much more clearer. That's the technical term for it. Much more clearer conversation. So we've got to avoid jargon. Yes. Oh my gosh. If you worked for a big corporate in the 90s, we all had, I'm looking for a really big book, big manuals of, oh God, it's for this team, it's for that team. All these acronyms for everything. If you're trying to communicate clearly, do not use jargon. No acronyms, no technical terms. No, if you're like me and you're into personal development, big time, there's a lot of conversations I have with people where I might want to throw in a phrase or something I've learned over here in the spiritual health, self-help world, and it's going to mean absolutely jack to the person I'm talking to. And it's not a case of dumbing it down. That's really insulting. That's not what you want to do. You actually, I think, want to up-level your conversation to remove the jargon. I think a lot of the jargon is where it gets dumbed down. So change what you're saying in order to communicate clearly. Hello, hey Sarah. You do not want to use jargon. Drives people insane when you're trying to have a clear conversation, okay? But on that, you want to keep it simple. You know the acronym, keep it simple, Samantha. Jargon, I did it, see? But if I said to you in a conversation, you just got to kiss it. Someone's going, what? I've just met you. Why do you want to kiss me? Because they don't know that means keep it simple, Samantha. I don't like the other one. So if you're trying to communicate something clearly, keep it simple, okay? And the last bit of that, so this number 6 tip in that, is you want feedback on what you're communicating. So there's no point saying, so lunch is on Sunday at 10, and then you leave. Okay, so you were clear about lunch being on Sunday at 10. Very early lunch, by the way, brunch. Where's lunch? Who's going? What's the purpose? Any number of questions could be on the back of what you've just said. So you need to wait when you're talking or communicating about that to have that feedback of, maybe there's more questions. I might not actually understand exactly what you've said. So I need to keep that dance of communication, that listen, understand, response. Listen, understand, response. I need to keep that going until I understand fully what's going on. And then we've communicated. Okay? Simples. So there you go. There are my tips for better clarity within communication. I know I talked about kids and guilt trips and all that kind of thing, but we communicate every single day with so many people, all levels of life, all from people in restaurants to Uber drivers to our teammates to people we want to work with to leaders to everybody. And the basic rules are those. They are the same things you need to think about no matter who you're talking to, okay? So what are they? Let's run over again. What do you want to say? Who are you talking to? What response do you want or need? And then we want to avoid the jargon, keep it simple, and we want to wait for that feedback loop, so the response, so we know it's been communicated effectively. There are so many more other tips for clarity within communication, so I've tried to keep it simple for Friday night. Have a great Friday night, and if you haven't already, I can see some of the names watching, and I know you have registered, so it's going to be so much fun. What am I going to wear? If you haven't already, here's my clear directions for you. Head over to samanthaleith.com/365, the number days and get on the list for the last night. It's going to be fun. Have a fabulous weekend. If you're in New South Wales or I think the ACT as well, it's the Queen's birthday. Well, it's not really her birthday. Talking about bad communication, not even sure when her birthday really is. But we get a long weekend this weekend. So if that's you, have a great time. And if not, have fun at work on Monday. Bye.